Have you heard of a guy called Milton Friedman? No? Look him up. I believe in 1976 he won a Nobel Prize for being the best economist, or I believe because he invented a theory of economics. Okay, that was it. That is what it was for. And the theory was monetarism. That's what the theory is called. Monetarism. And if you've never heard of this word, again, Google it, wiki it. And the reality is, the truth of the matter is that today's economy is run on the principle of monetarism. And what is monetarism? Is basically the thought that money is king, or organization is the boss. Milton Friedman was also a guy who proposed a theory, or not really proposed, but he philosophized his way of looking at the free market or the corporate market. And he said that maximizing shareholder profits is the only goal of any organization. And since we still operate under monetarism, since the economy still follows monetarism, organizations also still follow this unsaid law or unsaid rule, which is the only rule that exists, which is maximizing shareholder profits is the sole purpose of any organization. Yeah, that's how he said it. And the faster you align your thoughts, your perspective with Milton's perspective, the faster will you succeed in your corporate life. You might have noticed that there are a lot of smart people around you who get tossed around for a promotion, for a guy who's way less deserving. It's because that less deserving guy has an idea of how to save money, and he's not like they are not really valuing your IQ. They're not valuing your individuality. They're not valuing how much work-life balance you bring to the office. That's secondary, or probably even tertiary. But the main goal is, how are you saving some money? How are you making some profit? How are you bringing some moolah? If that is not your primary goal at work, if that's not how you look at work, if you're looking at work to be a fair place, if you're looking at work to be a place of opportunity, yes, it is, but the opportunity is connected to your company's pocket, your shareholders' pocket, your shareholders' intention, even if it's not pocket. So whatever your company's mission statement says, whatever the vision statement says, doesn't matter. Always remember, maximizing shareholder profits, maximizing your company's profits could be by reduction of cost and other things, is the sole purpose of any organization. The second side to this coin is the other perspective to this same idea is that you're expected to play a role at your workplace. Have you ever read a job description? It says, this job description is for a role of a sales manager, is for a role of an engineering manager, or is for a role of a chef. What does that mean? Words just don't mean anything, right? Like, they do have a meaning, I mean. People just don't use words for a reason. So the role of a sales manager means that role is already defined. what they expect you to. They already have an act going on. What does a role fit in? What does a role fit in? An act. And they already have an act going on. They already had a role. Someone else was playing it. And that player has left, and now they need a new actor to play this role. As long as you keep this in mind, you will succeed. But if you go to work thinking you're Sam Goggins or you're Alex Stewart or you are whoever, it won't work. Go to work thinking you're the role that you're playing. You're a sales manager at this company. And then the primary role of a sales manager is X, Y, and Z, but the primary is maximizing shareholder profits. It's not looking after his kids or keeping his hobby, knowing how many girlfriends he has had in the past year. All those things could be great things to talk with your friends, to brag about to your friends. But to your corporate life, to your organizational life, it makes no difference. As long as you follow what I just said, maximizing shareholder profits. Just stay on that one track. Just remember that one rule every day you walk into office. And if you put forward your step, remembering this one rule, you will succeed faster. You'll make more money. You'll probably become a manager faster, if that's what you intend. A lot of people don't intend that. But that's why I keep saying corporate life is not built for everyone. It's a certain amount of, it's a certain type of person that can only fit in that structure. And if you're not that person, then of course, look for something else. Go on your own, start something. But if you are the person who is looking to succeed in the corporate world, and if that's your only option, and you're looking to achieve what you want to achieve no matter what, then you have to keep emotions, individuality, personality, hobbies, family baggage, relationship baggage, your ideologies. Oh my God, that's the biggest thing that influences people's work these days is someone who is affected by an X ideology brings that whole ideological character to work. They're dressing in a certain way, coloring their hair in a certain way, cutting their hair in a certain way, I don't know, eating a certain way, taking offs a certain way, filing complaints a certain way, and not focusing on work. So leave those. Yes, people care about individualities. I'm not saying I'm a antisocial, unaffectionate person. Be all of that, but after 5 o'clock. But when you're between 8 to 5, you have to play the role of a sales manager, forgetting your individuality and personality and all of that. Because you're paid to play a role. You're paid to act. Imagine if you were hired to act in a role and you were doing everything else but acting in that role. You were doing everything else but saying those lines that you were supposed to say. You're going to get fired, right? Or at least you wouldn't be the highest paying actor in the business. You wouldn't just get the next lead job that comes up in that same play. You wouldn't. You would only get it if you're playing that right character, if you're only acting a certain way. And how would you act a certain way is by immersing yourself into the character. Understand this world is a play. Politics is a show you're watching. News is a show you're watching. Corporate is a show you're watching. Life is a show you're watching. Okay, you are playing a game. It's a simulation. And the faster you accept it, there are clues all around you to know that this is a simulation. And what are you required to do in a simulation? Play roles, right? Play characters. Take up on characters. And that's what you're doing in this life. You're playing so many characters at the same time. You don't realize it. In the morning, you're a dad, or you're a mom, you're a son. As soon as you step out of the house, you're a pedestrian. You're needed to act in a certain way. Let's say you're walking to the bus stop, or you're driving, then you're a driver. You're supposed to act in a certain way when you're driving. When you get down to the car, then you walk into your work, then you are whatever you are at work. Then when you leave work, and let's say you have a hobby of playing tennis. That time you're a tennis player. You can't be a sales manager on a tennis court and be pitching deals, because then you won't be a good tennis player. Then maybe you go to the gym, and you have to be a good social person. You can't be an antisocial dickhead at the gym. When you come back home, you have to switch your character back into the father, mother, son, whatever, and live together, accommodate people, and coexist. Bring in, like, accept their differences and all of that, listen to them. These are all roles. And if you play the same character in every role that you're playing throughout the day, firstly, you're going to be bored, because you're playing that same character, that one personality, that one ego that you've identified the most with. You're going to play that ego and burn it out in all of your roles, and you're going to try and squeeze that ego in all of the different roles that you're playing throughout the day. But why not realize that you're actually required to play your roles, and you're actually required to act? So act it. Immerse yourself into the acts. Rehearse the lines that you're supposed to say in the perfect situations. Rehearse the lines that would make you feel good, look good, and that would take you to places, especially in social and corporate situations. Don't just go unrehearsed. Don't walk in unrehearsed. This act, this playing of the act, is the highest realization that you could have for corporate success. In other success as well. Right? Socrates said, know thyself. And once you know thyself, you know everything else, right? You know who you actually are. And then you know the rest of the characters that you're supposed to play. Once you know who you are, Shakespeare said that the world is a stage and we are all just players. So they knew something. They realized something and reached great places. It's about time that we do too. We have clues everywhere too. So why not use them and play those roles? Train yourself to play those roles. Imagine walking into a job knowing exactly what you're supposed to say, exactly how you're supposed to act, exactly how you're supposed to not act, not say. And that kind of success would be from day one. You don't figure out things, you don't bring your personal emotions to work, personal requirements to work, all of that. Maybe if you have genuine requirements, yes, but not your emotional requirements to work. Business is business, and it has maybe 1% to do with your individuality and your personality and so on. As long as you fit in that role, you're going to succeed. There are so many self-help books out there to teach you how to play a role, or how to be a successful sales manager, how to be a successful finance manager, how to do something if you're doing it for the first time, like business or a startup. But no one tells you how to separate yourself from your personalities that you're required to play. Maybe this sounds a lot like DID, or it sounds a lot like, DID, right? Dissociative disorder, identity disorder, or it's not. It's not. This is just merely realizing what you're supposed to do in everyday life. Don't act as a mom when you're pulled by a cop at the side of the road. Act as a citizen, act as a driver, responsible driver. That's what's going to help you. So many people are walking around confused as to who they are and what's the role that they're supposed to play in this society, at work, at home, because responsibilities are not defined. We live in a world where everything is evolving at such a high pace that we don't have time to review the things we believe in. We are merely believing in those things because we trust a certain person. That's all the world is running on, trusts. Everything from currency to our beliefs to our monetary systems of the world, all the systems of the world. Everything's basically at the core is just running on trust. Same is with your beliefs. Take a day off and think about a few things that you believe in, and you will find out and trace back how you believe in those things, and you will come to find out that it's at the end it would be some authority that you trusted, or it's some authority that you succumb to. It's not really succumb to, but you didn't have an option to say no, and you just had to accept it. Just like when you went to school, school is a one-way communication, a one-way conversation. You cannot challenge the theories taught to you in school. You have to write the answer that's been provided to you by the book, by the teacher. You cannot argue with the teacher or prove something is not correct, even if you do. You have to accept what they're saying. Anyways, when you're 14, 15, 12 years old, you're too young to anyways argue with the book or with the teacher. But basically I'm trying to explain you the model of education. It's a one-way communication. It's not a two-way dialogue or a discussion to reach the truth. It's a one-way communication. And that is why everything that you believe in is also a one-way communication. If you track back everything that you believe, most of it, 90%, 95% of it is because somebody said so. And you trusted that person, you trusted that system, and you accepted it. But if you go behind and trace the things that you believe in, firstly, it would be hard to find the absolute truth behind that matter. And secondly, even if you do, you'll find out that it was significantly different than what you already believed in. That goes with the general facts of life too, like acting, like knowing when to play what. And this is the single most efficient skill that you would have to succeed in corporate life, is knowing how to act when, what lines to say, what lines to not say, where to pause, where to breathe, where to offer some respect, where to take some respect, where to wait for an applause. All these things, what are these? Acting, right? If you're a good actor, you will be successful in life no matter what. Have you noticed that? You need to be a good actor to be a good performer in this world. To be successful in this world, you need to be a good actor. If you're not, you would be ostracized by people saying that you're too raw, or you're too truthful, or you just say your mind, you don't have a filter, something like that. They'll put some word on it, some kind of spin on it to make it sound a bit cringy. But if you match the crowd, if you assimilate with the crowd, if you act in a way that they're used to seeing, then you'll fit in. then you'll succeed, then you'll step up. People are not ready for change. Just accept that, and then be the change that you want to be in your free time, in your personal life. If you're fighting for a cause, give that time for the cause. If you want to fight for feminism, be a feminist after 5 p.m. But don't bring all of that tension and whatever you've seen online last day or last night, don't bring it to work. Be the actor you're supposed to be at work. Play the role that you're supposed to play at work, that you're paid to play at work, and then see how fast you succeed. Leave your individuality for your friends, for your family members, for your YouTube viewers, for your Instagram friends, for your Facebook viewers. Leave it for them. But when you're at work, when you're in a business place, when you're at school, when you are at any kind of a work location, know that you're supposed to play a role. And then realize that that role that you're meant to play has one goal in mind. Everything's for a purpose, right? At least in this material world of ours, everything has a cause and effect. So if playing a role is the cause, so what is the effect that is needed from that cause? Is the output, is the profit, right? That's why the company exists. If there was everything else, the company was fair to everyone, it had the best working environment, no stress, the amazing work-life balance, but the company wasn't making profit, it wouldn't run. It's because Milton Friedman said so, and it's because it's his model of economy that we are following, monetarism, and that's his theory as well, that maximizing shareholder profits should be the sole purpose of any organization, as long as we are following monetarism, and that's what we are following. So it just makes logical sense to go to work with that thought in mind, that one thought in mind, that maximizing shareholder profits is the only purpose of any organization. I've learned this in school. When I was taking my human resources class, I thought of this as just a theory back then and maybe sidetracked it. But now, 10 years down the line, I think that was so true. That this is the only sole purpose of any organization. And as long as you assimilate this idea with your perspective when you go to work, as long as you keep that as the highest priority while you're playing that role that you're supposed to play, you will succeed. Okay? Try differentiating between roles. Take some acting classes. Watch my video here to how to become a good actor at your workplace. If you want to know more about yourself, about the environment that you live in, about just your spiritual capabilities and your identity in general, then check out my book in the description. It's available on Amazon in the country that you're in, most probably. If not, let me know. If you have any questions or comments, post them down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.